You're listening to The Vale This Week from Bro Radio. I'm Nathan Spackman. On this week's edition, we'll get the latest on Network Rail closing Brookside level crossing in Dinas, Paris in what it's called an emergency measure. We'll sit down with Nick Millington from Network Rail, who is the route director for Wales and Borders, and find out more about the recent safety assessments and the ongoing future of the crossing. A consultation is continuing over the future of the Colcot Sports Centre and Buttrolls playing field. We'll sit down with Vale Council leader Liz Burnett to look at where plans are, previous plans have been scrapped, and how you can engage in the consultation of the future of the two sites. It's a busy weekend for events, particularly if you love live music. We'll find out more about the Penarth Summer Festival taking place at the Kimmin, and also about youth music in the park taking place at Bellevue Park. Plus, this weekend is going to see another heat wave. We'll sit down with Calon Hearts to find out more about how the warmer weather can put added pressure on our hearts and the signs to look out for. All that plus your roundup of sports, top local news stories, and what's going on in and around the Vale of Glamorgan. First though, in late June, Network Rail confirmed the closure of the Brookside level crossing in Dinas, Paris in what it called an emergency measure following a recent safety assessment. Residents and councillors have questioned the decision, and little notice that was given before its closure on Friday the 26th of June. To explain the reason behind the closure, we're joined by Nick Millington, Route Director at Network Rail for Wales and Borders, who began by telling us a bit about his role in the recent safety assessments which led to the decision of the closure.
So my role, Nathan, I'm the Route Director for a part of Network Rail. It's a route called Wales and Borders. It's 1,000 miles of railway. It's all of the mainline railway in Wales and part of the English borderlands as well. In amongst my various responsibilities, I've got over 1,000 public crossings that cross the railway. So those crossings that I've referred to, we've got a team of expert level crossing risk assessors. There's 30 of them. Okay, they're well trained, and so just coming towards the crossing Brookside at Eastbrook then. So we undertake on a regular cycle very detailed risk assessments at public crossings, and we have a legal obligation to do that. I am the safety duty holder for all of the crossings, the public crossings on the railway, and we have an effective safety regulator, and it's quite important that we do have that. And we've got a level crossing risk assessment process. Now that all sounds quite procedural, but if we put it in people terms, that process will measure the amount of people that use a crossing, but it will also measure the users that we consider to be vulnerable. And when I say vulnerable, it could be school children, it could be people with dogs or infants in buggies. It could be people with reduced mobility, or it could be people that take a particularly long time to traverse the crossing. So in simple terms, with a public crossing, the trains will travel at a speed. So they'll travel a linear distance. And the primary source of risk mitigation is sight. So how far you can see up the track before you make a decision to cross. Okay. And if you look at then how long a member of the public spends on a crossing to get safely to the other side, that's a traverse time. Okay, if you look at that traverse time and then you factor in the speed, it gives you a distance where people can safely see before they make a decision to cross. So what has happened at this location? It's what we're seeing in other places as well. So it's not unique. What we have seen is a notable increase in vulnerable users. So people that take longer to traverse. People with reduced mobility and dog walkers and those sorts of categories, if you like. I went to this crossing myself recently. I've seen it with my own eyes. So I took the time to meet our level crossing manager at this location. That was a few weeks ago now. But what's happened here in the last couple of weeks is the risk assessment has identified a number of users that are regular users that are taking a significantly increased time to cross. So they're taking 4 times what we deem to be the safe traverse time. If you then look at then the effective mitigation to stop them coming into contact with a train, the linear distance is significantly increased. That distance isn't there. So what we've had to do reluctantly, I might add as well, is um, protect those vulnerable members of the community from a risk that they wouldn't necessarily understand, but we do. And that's brought about an emergency closure. And I must stress it's an emergency closure. It's done at short notice, it's done reluctantly, and we recognise that the consultation has been rapid, it's been quite sudden. But you'll understand that when we find and come across that information from our risk assessments, we have no choice but to act on it in order to protect the communities that use those crossings.
And you obviously mentioned there the vulnerable individuals that use that crossing on a regular basis. They're some of the people who've raised concerns now about how this is impacting their mobility around the village, getting from one side, getting access and services, but also accessing the train station itself as well. So what considerations are there when an emergency closure like this happens on that wider impact that a closure of a crossing may have to a village and the residents of an area like Dinas Powys?
So thank you for that. And we, like I've said, we have taken a move reluctantly to close the crossing. Now we have done, and we always do this, by the way. We know the areas where our public crossings are, and what we've this, like I stressed earlier, it's an emergency closure. We now need to consult more fully on the risk that I've described here on this interview and what the future for this location is. There are mitigations, and I'll come to that in a second if you like. But the immediate answer to your question is that there is a diversionary route. We recognise it takes a little bit longer, and I recognise it's inconvenient. It may not suit everybody, and we recognise that. But we cannot knowingly expose those vulnerable users without due mitigation to the risk that we discovered on that crossing. So we had to act quickly. There is a diversionary route in place, and your residents will know the diversionary routes. It's not a perfect solution. I recognise it's not a perfect solution. But because it's an emergency closure and at short notice, we now start the more fuller process of consulting everyone about what do we do next.
And let's talk about that consultation and that engagement now. So you look into the future of the crossing and how things will look in the future. How are you going to be engaging with residents to discuss what the future of this crossing could look like?
We've done this on a number of occasions. So there are a number of different ways that we can do this. We've obviously started with writing to a number of residents to advise on the move that we've already made. Like I've said, the emergency closure has only just happened. It only happened last week, and we're now planning a campaign of engagement with the community. There'll be drop-in sessions, there'll be meetings and conversations, and I would welcome the feedback from everybody there. The one thing I would stress is that as the route director for this route, and with 1,000 public crossings, every morning I read our safety log, and sometimes that is a very difficult read. And what I'd ask everyone to do is think about this genuinely, about the risks that we have to all manage. Network Rail can't manage every eventuality at every crossing. The public that use those crossings are responsible. And when I say responsible, I'd ask them to take the time to understand the risks that do occur and the incidents that have happened elsewhere before they make a judgment on what they feel is an appropriate step. I would ask everyone to think about, if that was your loved one, what would you want for them? Okay. We have seen some very concerning incidents. 27% of society in Great Britain have got hearing impediments. Society's getting older. Traverse times are getting longer. And it's a difficult topic that we've all got to talk about. I said earlier, I read those very challenging reads every morning. This is our highest risk crossing of over 1,000 crossings across the Wales and Borders network. So I don't have to spell out to everybody what that means. When our competent and professional risk assessment team tell me that advice and they show me what's happening there, you'll understand why I've done what I've done on behalf of Network Rail. but I'd ask for a meaningful discussion on what the right thing to do is here.
That was Nick Millington, Route Director at Network Rail for Wales and Borders. And as we have more on the future consultations on the Brookside level crossing, we'll bring that to you here on Bro Radio and The Vale this week. Right now, let's have a look at some of the top local news stories being discussed at broradio.fm over the last 7 days with Kane.
A Senate member who lost her birth mother at just 3 weeks old has spoken about her childhood experiences during a debate on the lasting impact of adverse childhood experiences. Reform Sarah Cooper-Lassard discussed her adoption in a debate tabled by Plaid Cymru's Becca Brown, with the Senate hearing calls for a trauma-informed approach to services. The debate called on the Senate to recognise the profound and lasting impact of trauma on individuals throughout their lives. CCR Energy has thanked South Wales Fire and Rescue Service for its swift response following a fire breaking out at the former Aberthaw power station on Thursday. In a statement on Friday afternoon, CCR confirmed that the emergency response has now concluded and that no further signs of heat, smoke or fire had been identified. All staff were safely evacuated and work to demolish the site now continues. Meningitis B vaccines are set to be offered to 17 and 18-year-olds in Cardiff and the Vale Glamorgan from July. Cardiff and Vale University Health Board will be sending out appointment letters to all those born between September 1st, 2007 and August 31st, 2008. Eligible students will need 2 doses of Men B vaccine for protection, with the first being offered from late July and the second dose 4 weeks later. Wales and West Utilities will begin a major upgrade of gas pipes in Dinas Powys from the 6th of July as part of a long-term investment programme to improve the reliability of the local gas network. The work, scheduled to run until October, is designed to ensure gas continues to flow safely to homes and businesses for decades. The company says the upgrades will also prepare the network to transport greener gases in the future. The project has been planned with the Vale of Glamorgan Council. Initial work will take place on Millbrook Close and Carlion Road before traffic management is introduced on Cardiff Road later this month. Visitors to Jackson's Bay have been urged to take extra care after a rockfall was reported at the popular Barry Beach on Monday morning. A Vale Glamorgan Council spokesperson said teams were sent to the scene shortly after the incident was reported and are now carrying out a full assessment of the affected area. The council has not yet confirmed when the area will fully reopen, but said further updates will be provided once the inspection is complete. And St Nicholas Primary School has been officially recognised as a school of sanctuary, marking its ongoing commitment to welcoming and supporting learners who seek refuge. The National Award celebrates schools that create safe, inclusive environments for children and families affected by displacement or trauma. Staff, pupils and wider community at St Nicholas have worked for years to embed values of compassion, understanding and solidarity into everyday school life.
You're listening to The Vale This Week from Bro Radio. Now, a consultation is continuing over the future of the Colcot Sports Centre and Buttrell's playing field. Previous plans for housing on the Colcot Sports Centre site and new changing facilities at the Buttrells have been scrapped, with the council now engaging with the local community about the future of the site, how it's used currently and what it could be used for in the future. Earlier this week, I sat down with Vale of Glamorgan Council leader Liz Burnett, who began by telling us about the previous plans, which have been scrapped, and where the council currently are with plans for the site.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a challenge all round, hasn't it? But I first went to visit the sort of Buttrells and the sports centre and everything, and not Buttrells, Colcot Sports Centre, etc. And back, well over 10, maybe 15 years ago, and it was in a poor condition then, wasn't it? I mean, it's something definitely needed to be done. And it's an interesting one because in times of, low levels of funding and austerity and all that sort of thing that we've seen in the intervening years, an awful lot of what we can do is depend upon grants. And that tends to drive thinking, or has historically. So if you look at the original proposals, we'd been told that there was potentially some funding available from, I think it was FAW at that time. And so it's like, well, we've got part of the money then, so to do something with this, what can we do? And it's, well, what other things can we do with that site to make the figures stack up and what fits in? And so possibly, misguidedly, you actually have an idea of what is possible on that site and take that out to the public. And that creates a perception that it's a done deal and that that's the only game in town. And we recognised that people weren't happy with that. We recognise that people didn't want housing on that site. I mean, we know that housing is desperately needed, but we also do listen to the public. And so we decided, well, actually, let's take a step back. Let's ditch that, and let's just have a blank piece of paper. Let's just go and talk to local people, to users of those sites, and see what it is really that we should be working towards. What in terms of sports, etc., what in terms of other facilities. And the only challenge with that is actually we don't have any funding at the moment. So once we have worked with local people, local community and organisations to find out what our overall ambition is, our joint ambition is for that site, then we've actually got to go and find the money. And we all go to various bodies and things to see how that will fit. But the first thing is to actually get a shared sort of vision, a shared view of what would be right, what's needed in that location.
And this is one of those areas, I guess, where there was a lot of reaction initially to those proposals. And I think even now with this consultation announced, we're seeing on social media lots of clubs, lots of sports clubs, lots of people seem to be interested in this site, making sure it's still there for the future and also having their say.
Well, I think that's the right thing, isn't it? Is that we're not going to have something which has 100% agreement from everyone, because that's not life, is it? There'll always be someone. There could be proposals that are for such a small group of individuals that actually that would have a negative impact on facilities for larger groups. But then you also have to say, not always should everything cater for people with the loudest voice, the larger groups of people. So it's once we've done the consultation, managed to pull together all the ideas, then we actually will make that report public, and we can always have an extra conversation at that point.
And that consultation's already begun. The first event happened yesterday as well. There's another one next week. Tell us about some of the response so far and the reaction from people around the consultation itself.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, the first event was really positive, and I think, as is always the case, and sometimes we need to sort of say to ourselves, well, actually, if we're open and we talk to people, then we can have some really constructive conversations, and that's what's been happening. Not only about I want this, it's actually people talk to us about their lives, people talk to us about how it all fits in, what sort of things they need, what sort of stuff they need for their family members, their children, that sort of stuff. And that gives us a greater depth of information, as well as just ticking a box. And so that's actually what this consultation will work towards. I think from what I actually wasn't able to get to the first one, but I'm hoping to get to next week's. Some of the emerging themes were around the importance of the Kilchmaithrin on that site. And, it's a strange one, isn't it? Because you think, well, how initially did Maithrin end up in a sports hall? But the need for a facility for a Maithrin is coming through. The 3G pitches for playing football, the importance of the Buttrell's field, and actually how that works, because we still have the challenge that we had in the original consultation, is we've got children that were getting changed in Colcot and then having to run across the road to get over to the Buttrells, and that's not 100% safe, is it? So I have to look at that. At the moment, we've had about 300 responses to the survey, but I hope we can get as many as possible before it closes. And I said we've got the next one, as you said, next Tuesday. But people can email in. We can also make provision for people to phone us. And what I would say is, if you get stuck and you can't get through, drop me a line, put me a note on social media or something, and we'll get you through to the right people. We're increasingly trying to use the phrase "no wrong door" to the council, so that if you're having difficulties, get in touch with us. We will find a way of getting you through to the right person. So it's important. If you've got a view on this, please let us know. Because once the consultation's finished and you look at the report and you say, that's not what I wanted, it's not too late, but it's more difficult.
That was Vale Council leader Liz Burnett, and the consultation on the future of the Colcot Sports Centre and Buttrell's Playing Field sites are open until the 4th of August, with more details at valeofglamorgan.gov.uk. You're listening to The Vale This Week from Bro Radio. So it's a busy weekend of events, particularly if you love live music. Earlier today, Ruby caught up with Lewis Prosser, who's the Cultural Development Officer at Penarth Town Council, to find out more about this weekend's Penarth Summer Festival.
Yeah, so tell us a bit about the history of this special event.
So the Summer Festival's been going on in Penarth longer than I've ever even been here, even been alive, in fact. And it's one of the annual celebrations of the summer in what is a really nice seaside town.
Looking to Saturday, what can we expect this year?
So we've got a whole range of different things, everything from kids' crafts, mermaid shows, wildlife tours, and we've got a really great lineup of all mostly original music from really up and coming bands from around South Wales. So it's really exciting to have a real focus on like proper music in the park with everyone from Penarth.
Yeah, and I mean, continuing on about the amazing music that we'll be playing, I get that with such a range of acts across the festival, it's quite difficult to pick a favourite. But do you have anything you're particularly looking forward to?
I think we've got a real brassy theme this year going through it. So everything is going to have a lot of jazz inflection and a lot of feeling of like high festival sort of trumpets and sounds like that. So I think I'm looking forward to seeing how all the bands work together, and it's going to be very high energy, and I'm excited.
Yeah, and I think what's really special about the event is that there are lots of activities alongside the music that are suitable for children.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've got everything from face painting to circus skills workshops that are going to be taking place. There's also tours of the local wildlife in the Kimmin Park, and we've even got mermaid performances happening throughout the day from some very unhappy mermaids. So that'll be great fun.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I think as I've read on the site, it is a free entry festival. Is this accessibility something that is important to the ethos of the festival going forward?
Absolutely. I mean, as a town council, we really want to make sure that we are helping to support the well-being of the town. And I think providing access to free family entertainment is a really big part of that.
Yeah, and I mean, it must be really special to bring to life a festival which has been such a core part of the history. I know my parents went to it, so it does feel very special.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's heavy shoes to big shoes to fill. So it's I hope everyone enjoys it and we have a really good time on Saturday.
Yeah, but you certainly got the perfect weather for it. I mean, how are you? Are you looking forward to the weather, or is this something else to worry about for you?
I think the weather is always something that when you organize events you're constantly thinking about. So I'm glad that it's sunny and not windy, but the sun will be an issue, and we do want everyone to drink plenty of water through the day and prepare how they can. But luckily in the Kimmin Park there are lots of shaded areas that people can access, so it does feel like a much safer site.
Yeah, and I mean, being in nature definitely has its perks. Getting children out over the holidays to just be in nature.
Absolutely, yeah. It's the kind of festival site where if you do get a bit overwhelmed by the heavy, loud music, then there's lots of little nature trails that you can take off and take five. So it is a good space for that.
So yeah, but the location overlooking the coast, I mean, it's a really ideal spot for people. But if people want to check out the music lineup or see the event details again, where can we go online to find out more?
Best place to look online is our Facebook, which has all the information about the event and any sort of changes that will be happening during the day. And we've also got information about the stalls and all the other activities that are happening on the day.
And the Penarth Summer Festival takes place at the Kimmin this Saturday from midday. Now with a roundup of your week's sport here in the Vale of Glamorgan, here's Jamie Pritchard.
Let's start with Barrytown United, who continued their pre-season games on Tuesday with a win against Goitra AFC. It finished 3-1 at Jenner Park with goals from Ellis Williams, Sean Spence and Callum Sainty. The next travel to Yate Town on Saturday with kick-off at 3 p.m. Meanwhile, the club have announced their fifth signing of the transfer window, with James Lester joining the team after a spell at Llanelli Town and his youth career at Cardiff City. Meanwhile, Cymru Premier champions for the 18th time, the new Saints Champions League hopes are on a knife edge after they were beaten 2-0 by Sava in the first leg of the first qualifying round in Azerbaijan. The hosts scored 2 goals in the second half as they dominated the game in Baku. The sides next meet at Park Hall next Tuesday, the 14th of July for the second leg. That game kicks off at 6:30 our time. In rugby, Exeter Chiefs women have signed Wales prop Maisie Davis from Bristol Bears. The 20-year-old loosehead, who has won 17 caps for her country, moves to Sandy Park after a season at Ashton Gate. She'll compete with United States international Hope Rogers and newly signed Scotland player Demi Swan for a place in the front row. She won her first cap last year and was part of the Wales squad at the last Women's World Cup. Meanwhile, in ice hockey, Cardiff Devils have added Finnish forward Panu Miho to their roster for the next Elite League campaign. The 31-year-old has played the past 2 seasons with hometown club IFK Helsinki, where he started his career as a junior. And Penarth cyclist Chiara Olver is set to make a remarkable return to international competition after being named in Team Wales's track cycling squad for the upcoming Commonwealth Games. Chiara, who's 36, last competed at the Gold Coast Games in 2018 and previously raced at Glasgow 2014. She also served as reserve for Great Britain at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games and has collected World and European Championship medals during her career. After stepping away from elite racing following the 2018 Games, she was inspired to return after watching a documentary about Olympic rower Helen Glover's return to the sport as a mother of 3. Meanwhile, double Commonwealth Games gold medalist Olivia Breen has been named captain of Team Wales for Glasgow 2026. The 29-year-old will lead the team of 115 athletes out at what is her 4th Commonwealth Games.
You're listening to The Vale this week from Bro Radio. Now, the recent hot weather is set to return, with temperatures topping 30 degrees this weekend in the Vale of Glamorgan. But the warmer weather can also put added pressure on the heart. Celia finds out more.
With another heatwave approaching this weekend, charity Calon Hearts has warned about how the warmer weather can put extra strain on the heart. Sharon Owen is the founder and chief executive of the charity and joins us now. Hi, Sharon. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm good. Thank you. A little bit warm today, isn't it?
It is very warm today, yes. So, Sharon, we all love the warmer weather, not too warm, but the warmer weather. But why can it lead to the heart working much harder?
Well, we all see that, I mean, we're all feeling the heat literally, but it's dangerous for people with heart conditions. This hot weather does put extra strain on our hearts, but people with heart disease or even underlying heart conditions, extra workload can become so much more significant. When we're hot, our blood vessels widen to help release heat, and our heart has to pump even harder and faster to keep blood circulating around our bodies. At the same time, we lose those all-important fluids and important salts through sweating, which can make the heart work even harder. Obviously, a lot of people out there, this won't cause any problems, but if you already have a heart condition or an undiagnosed one, the heat can increase the risk of symptoms becoming worse. And so that's why it's important not to dismiss the chest pains, the severe breathlessness, the dizziness or fainting are simply being caused by the hot weather.
So that's some of the symptoms that we need to look out for. So you said like breathlessness, because obviously, like I'm a lady of a certain age, so I'm going through certain things of my own, and I was quite uncomfortable in the last heat wave, but obviously mine was just because of that. But obviously, people need to keep an eye out, don't they?
Yeah, and especially when they don't know that they've got a heart condition, so they think, oh, it's just hot and it's something, but there could be something more underlying going on that they don't know about.
So anything different to how you normally feel, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so when it comes to the warmer temperatures, there's lots of tips that circulate now. Now, what advice would you give us to help protect your heart during a heat wave now?
Yeah, so the steps that people can take to protect themselves is really important. So the good news, there are some really simple things that we suggest. obviously stay well hydrated by drinking water regularly, even before you feel thirsty, as Irish as that sounds, but it's true. Try to stay out of the direct sun during those the hottest part of the day, and that's usually between 11 and 3.
Right.
Even though it appears that it's all day at the moment, doesn't it? I have to say.
It does. It feels, yes, it's quite hot in here today. Yes.
People who are exercising or even doing physical work, outdoors, gardening, just slow down and take regular breaks, and listen to your body, it never fails.
Fabulous. Does any of this advice change? So obviously there are people who have previously had a heart attack or currently going through the work to sort of get them through recovering from a heart attack. So is there any different advice for those people, or should there?
It's all the same, and obviously with their medication, obviously the heat can obviously upset that. So obviously check with a GP if they're taking the right medication, and remember to drink lots of water when they do, and just be sensible. Obviously we do advise also checking on relatives who are on medication, who are going through heart problems, have got diagnosed heart conditions, neighbours, friends, anyone really with a heart condition, because in this heat they do struggle more during periods of extreme heat. So just be mindful of that. Okay. And one message we always share, obviously, is always know where your nearest publicly accessible defibrillator is.
Yes, I have to say we're very lucky because we've got one on my next door neighbour's house.
Yeah. We probably put that there, actually. We've done
you probably did. Yes, you probably did. It's really good. It's there on the outside of their garage. And
it's becoming very common at the moment, having them outside people's homes. I think it's a brilliant idea, because you often think by the time you run to your nearest defib, it's often too late, as we all know. So,
yes.
But yeah, just kind of, we're seeing more and more of these heat waves in the UK now, and so as obviously we need to protect ourselves and those living with heart conditions. But I think it does highlight that we all need to adapt to the fact that hotter weather is becoming more common here. Historically, people in Wales haven't really thought of extreme heat as a health risk before now.
No.
But seeing these temperatures really can place real strain on the body, particularly the heart. As a charity, obviously, we'd like to see greater awareness of how this hot weather affects the cardiovascular health, just as people try to understand the risks associated with the cold weather. It's the same. Do you know what I mean? It's hot weather, cold weather. It's still the same. And obviously, if more frequent heat waves like this become part of our summers, which they will, it's more important that people know the warning signs and they take sensible precautions and understand, obviously, their own heart health as well as their loved ones.
Yeah. So what you're, if I can kind of see if I'm getting it right now. So what you're basically saying is, yes, it's really hot. Yes, we're going to struggle. But if we're feeling anything kind of different to what we normally do, just be aware and probably get it checked, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what you're saying. So we want to make sure that we don't want to just write stuff off as saying, no, it's because it's hot, it's because it's this. If you're feeling different, get it checked out.
100%.
Anyway, yeah. So thank you very much for joining us this day, Sharon.
Pleasure.
And we can find out much more helpful tips and advice from your website, which is calonhearts.org.
That was Celia Hamblin chatting to the founder of Calon Hearts, Sharon Owen. You're listening to The Vale This Week from Bro Radio. Now, back in May, we spoke to Spike from Beacons Cymru about an opportunity for young performers to feature at an event in Penarth. With lots of interest, a lineup has been pulled together to showcase some of the best local talent at Bellevue Park this Saturday. I caught up with Spike earlier today to find out what we can expect from the event, and he began by telling us about Beacons Cymru and its work right across Wales.
Yeah, well, Beacons Cymru is a pan-Wales organisation, so we cover the length and breadth of the country, and essentially we are supporting young people who want to pursue a career in the music industry. So young people aged predominantly around 18 to 25, although sometimes we go a little lower than 18 down to 16, and sometimes we go a little bit higher than 25 up to 30. Many of our programs are really providing opportunities and pathways for young people who are music creators as well as wanting to explore a job or a career really in behind the scenes work. So whether they are technically interested in working technically behind the scenes, stage managing, event managing, promoting, marketing, content creation, it's the full sort of spectrum of really what the music industry looks like. We're trying to facilitate and navigate those journeys for those young people.
And we're here to talk about the Youth Music in the Park, which is taking place this weekend. We talked about this last month, really, a great opportunity for young performers to get on stage. Tell us about that reaction to that response and the call out you had to be part of this event.
It's the first time we've ever done something like this in Penarth in particular. So blank canvas. And in fairness, it was the committee who've, for 15 years, the Bellevue Park Committee have been putting on a live event on a Sunday. And every year, I'm a local resident. I can testify that it's absolutely chock-a-block on that Sunday. It's nearly over 1,000 people, baking sun, live music throughout the day, and a really family-friendly atmosphere. Just a good, warm, welcoming audience, really. So we got approached to try something on the Saturday. The infrastructure for the Sunday was in place, and it was a no-brainer, really, that we could look at supporting young, emerging music creators from the vicinity and give them, well, for many of them, their first ever live performance. And we've kind of overwhelmed by the response. We didn't know anything in terms of what we were going to gather. And I think we had about 40 or 50 applications in the end that came through. And these are all local young people. So we were inundated. We could have filled up the weekend. But unfortunately, we only have one day and we only have so many hours to do it this year. But it certainly gives us a good, clear picture of young people wanting to make music in the area. And hopefully we can, as I said, facilitate some of those early journeys. So we have a lineup, really diverse lineup, covering different genres, different styles of music. And it's been a really lovely introduction to what young people are making in this area of Wales.
And tell us about the lineup and type of stuff people can expect if they come along on Saturday.
Yeah, well, as it stands, we've got about, I think, altogether 8 artists performing. So young bands from, I think they're from Stanwell School, which is a local school, baritone, who are a rock and roll band, quite loud, quite raw. But then it varies to a DJ producer by the name, and I'm going to get this wrong, so I'm going to spell it DUH1G. So making electronic music on his own terms. So he's going to be performing. Polly Lola, singer-songwriter, lives so close to the venue. It was almost a given that she would play, but stands up on her own 2 feet, really. So really looking forward to her, and she sort of closes the event, really. We have a Welsh language indie outfit called Tonai. Now, they're not from Penarth, but they're ones to watch, and we're really excited by them. They recently played Tavoil Festival in the Castle and are also performing at Maes B in the Eisteddfod in Pembrokeshire. So they're from Cardiff, a young all-female outfit. Primal Beans, a bit loud, bit raucous, bit punky, metal, 3-piece. I think they're also from Stanwell School. And then we have a 4-piece called True Harmony vocal group, so all-female vocal group. And I think I may have missed one out, but Layla May, who's a singer-songwriter, soulful, young 18-year-old performing for us as well. So it's a very, as I said before, quite a diverse, eclectic lineup, and all performing original music. So the Sunday offers something different. It's more sort of covers and tributes, but we're actually having none of that. It's all original and it's all music created on on the terms of the artist. So it's something for everyone, I hope.
Yeah, sounds like a great lineup. And even better, the weather looks really good this weekend as well. It's a good spot to sit in the sun. So what are the details that people need to know to be able to come along on Saturday and enjoy this for themselves?
Well, the first thing is you need a ticket. So tickets are flying out. I think we're close to 500 tickets already, which is remarkable. As I said, the first time we've ever done this, and first time the committee have agreed to this. So we're really overwhelmed by the ticket response, but you do need a ticket, even though it is free. So please go onto the website, and that is mitp.org.uk. So MITP obviously being musicinthepark.org.uk. Sign up. Gates open at 1:30. So just come in. You'll have more information on the website on what entry point. And the music will be non-stop then all the way up until 5:30. So expect a full day. And I must say, of course, we have Bro Radio hosting the day and sort of filling in the gaps and keeping the theme going. So yeah, looking forward to it.
And the Youth Music in the Park takes place this Saturday at Bellevue Park in Penarth, with the Bellevue Music in the Park on Sunday. You can find out more and get your tickets at mitp.org.uk. Before we go, time to have a look at what's going on elsewhere across the Vale of Glamorgan in the coming days with the very latest. Here's Ruby.
Penarth High School is playing host to a live pro wrestling event this Thursday at 6, which is set to be a fantastic night for all ages. Money raised by the event will go to pupils at the school at just £10 a ticket. Performing this Friday and Saturday, the musical Made in Dagenham will be on at the Paget Rooms Penarth. This tells the true story of the Ford factory sewing machinists who walked out in 1968 in frustration over the gender pay gap, whose efforts paved the way for the 1970 Equality Act. Tickets are priced at £17.30, with the 2 event evening performances running from 7:30 till 10 p.m. The matinee on Saturday starts at 2 p.m. and finishes at 4:30 p.m. The Saturday sees 2 quiz nights taking place. The first is at Dinas Powers Scout Hall, with teams of up to 6 from set to 7 all competing whilst raising money for the Scout group. Whilst Chaos Society's quiz night at Chantonian Hall in Chantwit Major runs from 7 p.m. onwards. Each team will need to purchase a £5 ticket for 4 members, and there is a prize for the winners. Also on the 11th and 12th, the legendary Cadstock Wolf Festival will be returning to Victoria Park in Caddockson, a great chance to enjoy the Vale's largest free music event. Taking the stage this year alongside many other bands are Aggie Evans and High Five. Penarth Summer Festival is back at the Cayman, with lots of live music, performances and community celebrations from 12 noon until 8 p.m. Whilst up the road is Youth Music in the Park at Bellevue, a brand new event featuring local young musicians and bands. It's closely followed by Bellevue Music on Sunday. Also on Sunday is the second Big Barry Summer Cleanup event at the Memo Arts Centre. Litter picking starts at 10 a.m, and if you register, you'll be entered into the draw to win a family pass to Glastonbury. Starting at 7 p.m. next Tuesday, join the Barry Ladies Choir for an evening of uplifting music to celebrate a special year of community and festival performances. Raffles and refreshments will be available after the show, with an approximate finish of 8:15 p.m. For more local events, visit brewradio.fm/events, where you can also list your events for free.
And that was the Vale this week from Bro Radio. As always, if you have a story to share, get in touch with us via email on news@broradio.fm. You can hear the show on air then each Wednesday from 7 p.m, or search for Vale This Week where you get your podcasts. I'm Nathan Spackman. Thanks for listening.